My cheating wife's journal had a rating system for affair partners. Mine had a lawyer. My wife's journal, the one where she documented her escapades, featured a rating system for her affair partners. Who knew infidelity came with a review process? Well, mine came with a lawyer, because why not add a little legal drama to the mix? On a sunny Saturday afternoon, Elena, my lovely wife, found herself out and about with her friends, ready for whatever mischief the day had in store. Brunch and vintage shops, her go-to getaway, where the mimosas flow and the treasures are just waiting to be discovered. I was in the middle of the mess, trying to find something. I wasn't on a quest for chaos, I was just hunting down some tax records. I thought it was high time to roll up my sleeves and tackle the chaotic mess that had taken over our storage closet. Ah, that charming little abyss nestled between the laundry room and the guest bathroom, brimming with a delightful collection of neglected cables, shattered umbrellas, and the lingering sorrow of IKEA assembly instructions gone awry. About an hour in, after wrestling with a precarious pile of shoeboxes that seemed to have declared war on my sanity, I finally stumbled upon it. A notebook bound in leather, as if it holds the secrets of the universe, or at least a few grocery lists. Worn and cozy, like that perfect find from a chic Parisian shop, meant to wow someone who sips espresso while reciting verses in a corner cafe. Untitled, unguarded, unnamed. I figured it must belong to Elena. The atmosphere was totally her, clean lines, a touch of flair, and perhaps adorned with doodles or quotes from those books I claimed to have read. I went ahead and popped it open. It wasn't poetry, it was all set and ready to roll. There it was, perched at the top of the page like a well-behaved cat on a windowsill, a neat little table, just waiting to be admired. Ah, columns. Those delightful vertical lines that hold everything together, like a good plot twist in a novel. They stand tall, unwavering, and just like a well-crafted character, they can support the weight of a story, or at least a good set of data. Who knew such simple structures could be so full of potential? Written in a handwriting so neat, it could probably win an award for cleanliness. Let's just say we've clocked some serious hours in the horizontal hustle. Score it. So, are we doing a little déjà vu with the overall impression here? I blinked, as if my eyelids were auditioning for a role in a silent film. What popped into my head first? Perhaps this was. How about a little chuckle? A list of characters for a creative endeavor, perhaps? A script that slipped through the cracks of time, perhaps? But then I laid my eyes on the names. Actual names. Names that ring a bell. I flipped through the pages. Every single one, a fresh character, a brand new assessment. There were plenty of scores. Counting from 1 to 10, like a stroll through a cozy neighborhood where every house has its own quirky charm. Some with stars and exclamation points, because why not sprinkle a little excitement into the mix? Some were adorned with tiny hearts sketched right next to them. Some are just a blink, and they're gone. As thrilling as watching paint dry on a rainy day. Chatty Cathy over here. One read, sizzling. A real disaster when it comes to smooching. Well, it's worth it, no doubt about that. Well, we pulled it off right in their boss's office. Can you believe it? Afterward, he had a good old-fashioned cry. Not a chance I'd do that again. My throat felt like the Sahara Desert on a hot summer day. I turned to the final page. Picture this, there I was. Ethan the accountant. 7 whole years. Still in the works. Snuggled up in bed, somewhere between 6 and 10, living the dream of cozy comfort. In summary. Dependable. Ah, but isn't that just the way of the world? Predictable as a cat deciding to knock over a glass of water right when you're not looking. Just like a Monday lunch, you know? A bit awkward, but somehow it always finds a way to happen. Could you say that again? Well, that's done and dusted. I can't quite put my finger on it. I plopped down on the chilly tile floor, gazing at those words as if they were written in some ancient tongue only decipherable by wizards or overly ambitious cats. Dependable. As predictable as a cat deciding to ignore you while you're trying to work, really. Ah, the classic Monday lunch, a culinary adventure that often feels like a game of what's left in the fridge. Will it be last week's pizza or a mysterious container that may or may not contain soup? The suspense is palpable. No fury. No tears here. Just a little something heavy lounging in my chest. It's like discovering that your beloved anthem was actually penned for someone else's love story. And you know what really takes the cake? She was as subtle as a marching band in a library. Well, it turns out the door was as open as a friendly invitation to a potluck dinner. It was just hanging out, enjoying the fresh air. It was simply, there it is. Just hanging around, twiddling my thumbs and contemplating the mysteries of the universe, or maybe just what to have for dinner. Ah, The art of waiting. Time seemed to stretch like a rubber band as I sat there, lost in my thoughts. Time pulled one of its classic moves, flipping my world on its side like a pancake gone rogue. Like a pretzel trying to find its way home. I think I've gone over that page about 5 or 6 times now. At this point, I could probably recite it in my sleep. Every time, I found myself wishing those words would just decide to dance around a bit. The meaning would take a little detour. It seemed that Monday lunch was meant to be a compliment, wrapped in a metaphor so twisted that I couldn't quite untangle it. Well, that's a hard pass. It was precisely what it appeared to be. A little chat about how things are going at work. There I was, just your average, run-of-the-mill middle manager, blending in with the office plants. Eventually, I found myself thumbing through the pages of the journal again. Take your time this go-around. Examining it as if it were a crucial piece of evidence in a thrilling mystery novel. Because, out of nowhere, it seemed like it really was. The names just wouldn't quit showing up, like uninvited guests at a party who think they're the life of it. Ethan, my friend, the name that rolls off the tongue like a well-practiced line in a novel, yet here we are, just two folks in the grand scheme of things. What's on your mind today? Ah, the neighbor. That delightful enigma living just a wall away, always ready to provide a story or two, whether you want them or not. Ah, Marcus. A name that rolls off the tongue like a well-aged whiskey, smooth, with just a hint of character. What's the story behind this intriguing fellow? Picture taker extraordinaire. Ben, my friend, the name that rolls off the tongue like a well-practiced line in a novel, yet here we are, just two folks in the grand scheme of things. What's on your mind today? Wedding DJ. And with every beat, my stomach did a little somersault. I was familiar with these folks. Well, wouldn't you know it? A few of them had actually made themselves at home in our place. Gave me a grin that could light up a room. Polished off my whiskey. So, one of them decided my drill was the perfect tool for their latest project. Next to each entry, dates were jotted down like little reminders of time's relentless march. A few relics from the time before we tied the knot. Well, quite a bit, actually. Once the dust settled. That week I found myself on a business trip to Boston. She found a note tucked away like a secret waiting to be discovered. Tyler, my friend. Personal fitness coach. Incredibly fit. Had to pretend I had a cramp just to hit the brakes on that situation. That night when I picked up the phone and dialed her number, like a scene straight out of a novel, but with a lot less drama and a bit more awkwardness. She mentioned that she missed me. I caught the sound of her pouring a glass of wine, followed by a big ol' yawn that could rival a bear waking up from hibernation. She casually remarked, "Nothing thrilling happening today. Fabrications. As smooth as a well-oiled typewriter on a rainy day. Well-rehearsed fibs." I just kept turning the pages, like a kid on a roller coaster, hoping for the next thrilling twist. My hands felt like they had just come from a polar expedition. My chest, you say? Well, it's just sitting there, minding its own business, like a well-behaved pet that knows not to chew on the furniture. Quite the reliable companion, if I do say so myself. Scorching. One entry had me hitting the brakes like a deer caught in headlights. Derek, my friend. Our relationship guru. I really ought to have seen that coming. But you know, the whole forbidden aspect just added a sprinkle of excitement to the mix. What a blast. I closed the notebook with a satisfying thud, as if it had just spilled all its secrets and was now ready for a well-deserved nap. So, there I was, just sitting there. A trusty notebook perched on my lap. My hands just hung there, like two overcooked spaghetti noodles, completely devoid of purpose. It felt like I was clutching a glowing nugget of truth, the kind that could probably power a small city, but I hadn't quite figured out how to handle it yet. My better half. The lady who snuggled her head into my chest at night. Who decided to send me kiss emojis while I was burning the midnight oil. Talk about multitasking. I found myself writing Yelp reviews for men as if they were just tasty little tapas on a menu. I really ought to have been fuming. I really should have just hurled that thing at the wall. Let out a good old-fashioned scream. Just a little something. But instead, I simply got to my feet. Strolled over to the printer, as if it were a long-lost friend waiting to share some ink-filled gossip. Whipped up some copies. So, I carefully returned the original to its rightful spot, as if it had never left its cozy little home. Why, you ask? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's like standing in front of a vending machine, staring at the options, and wondering why the universe decided to put pickles in a jar instead of chocolate. Life is full of mysteries, my friend. Because a little voice inside me nudged, not just yet. That night, Sleep decided to play hard to get. Elena strolled in around 9, reeking of white wine and a fragrance that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She tossed her heels aside like they were yesterday's news and flashed me that easy, well-rehearsed grin. The kind she pulled out of her bag of tricks when she wanted to appear effortlessly warm and fuzzy. "Hey there, darling," she said, sauntering over and planting a kiss on my cheek. "So, what kind of mischief did you get up to today?" I plastered on a grin, like a kid trying to convince their parents that broccoli is actually dessert. "Clean the closet," I declared, as if I hadn't just stumbled upon a hidden treasure that could blow our marriage to smithereens. She chuckled softly and propped herself up against the kitchen counter, as if it were the most comfortable spot in the world. At long last, that pesky thing was really cranking up my anxiety levels. I gave a nod, swung open the fridge door, and put on my best act of searching for something important, like a detective on the case of the missing leftovers. Anything to avoid facing the music. She was blissfully unaware. Or just didn't give a hoot. "Hey, have you stumbled upon my sketch pads anywhere?" she inquired, as she filled her glass with Chardonnay, the golden liquid swirling like a tiny sun in her hand. "Just a collection of boxes, a few mismatched shoes, and a tangle of old wires that seem to have lost their purpose in life." I maintained a steady tone, like a calm lake on a sunny day. Not a hint of remorse danced across her features. All smooth sailing, no second-guessing. She pivoted the conversation to a co-worker named Trevor, who had a knack for sharing way too much during their brainstorming sessions. "Oh, Trevor, we see you loud and clear. Your divorce is a tough pill to swallow, but perhaps it's best not to shed tears over the mood board." I gave a few enthusiastic nods at all the appropriate moments. Grinned at just the right moments. But I wasn't exactly present, you know? Just a ghost floating around in my own thoughts. I found myself flipping through the pages of my memory. Names. Those delightful little labels we slap on ourselves and each other, like stickers on a fruit stand. They can be as sweet as a ripe peach or as sour as a lemon, and somehow, they all manage to tell a story. Whether it's a classic like John or something more adventurous like Moonbeam, names have a way of sticking with us, much like that one friend who always shows up uninvited. So, what's in a name? A whole lot of character, if you ask me. Points galore. 6 to 10. Dependable, yet a bit too routine. That line stuck in my head like a stubborn piece of gum on the bottom of a shoe. The following day, I decided it was high time to start my own journal. Well, naturally, it's digital. I wasn't exactly Shakespeare over here. Chapter 1. Time to play detective and make sure all the pieces fit together like a well-crafted plot twist. I opened my work calendar, ready to dive into the delightful chaos of my day. Check the dates she scribbled in that journal against my calendar of business trips, conferences, and those delightful late-night work sessions. It fell into place a bit too perfectly. November 14th. Just another day in the grand tapestry of time, where the leaves are falling and the world is getting cozy. What adventures await us today? So there I was, in the Windy City, attending a tax seminar. Exciting, right? Just me and a bunch of spreadsheets, living the dream. She shared a meal with Michael. The good old days when my college crush was the stuff of daydreams and awkward encounters. It finally happened. Untamed tongue. December 3rd. A day that sneaks in like a cat on a mission, quietly reminding us that the year is winding down and the holiday season is just around the corner. Time to dust off those decorations and maybe even start thinking about what to get Aunt Edna this year, if you can remember what she liked last time. There I was, stuck at home, battling the flu like a knight in very unglamorous, tissue-filled armor. She penned, "A quiet afternoon with Lenny." The neighbor. That delightful enigma lives just a stone's throw away, often providing both amusement and mild annoyance in equal measure. Who knew it could pack such a punch? Could happen again. I hit the brakes for a moment. Lenny, my friend. The same fellow who never missed a chance to grab a shovel and tackle our driveway like it was a snow-covered mountain. Who was the generous soul that gifted us banana bread last Christmas? My stomach did a little somersault. I pulled up our holiday card photos on my phone. There he stood, like a character waiting for his cue in a play, just a bit out of place but somehow fitting right in. Grinning like a Cheshire cat at the block party, just soaking it all in. Elena was right there next to me, her hand snugly in mine. Not real. Just how far down the rabbit hole are we talking here? I dove into the vast ocean of Google, fishing for names like a novelist on a quest for the perfect character. Social media, the digital playground where everyone's a star, and every cat video is a potential Oscar winner. It's like a never-ending party where you can't find the bathroom, but you're too polite to leave. Who knew sharing your breakfast could spark such heated debates? Welcome to the wild world of likes, shares, and the occasional existential crisis. Ah, LinkedIn. The digital cocktail party where everyone's wearing their best professional smiles and trying to network like it's an Olympic sport. Ah, Instagram, the digital gallery where we all become amateur photographers, capturing our avocado toast and sunsets like they're the Mona Lisa. It's a place where the likes flow like a fine wine and the hashtags are the secret sauce to social media fame. Cheers to scrolling through a never-ending parade of perfectly curated lives. Chapter 2. Pair up those profiles. A few of them were still kicking around. I stumbled upon this fella named Trevor on a dating site. That same photo, Elena once remarked, looks like a dude who believes gym selfies are the essence of his character. Well, it seems she had a little change of heart. In her book, she managed to snag a review score of 8.5, pretty impressive, right? Almost like getting a gold star in the world of literary critiques. Those shoulders are something else. The chat was as lively as a snail race. I'd absolutely book this again without a second thought. Let's give that another shot. It was as if she were discussing the finer points of a massage, complete with all the soothing details and a hint of blissful relaxation. I gave my laptop a decisive snap, like a magician closing a trick box, but with a bit less flair and a lot more frustration. That night, I found myself unable to tear my eyes away from her. There she was, in the kitchen, crafting pasta like a culinary wizard, humming a little tune that could probably charm the spaghetti right off the wall. Hair up in a messy bun, sporting a comfy tank top, and here I am with yet another half-full glass of wine, living the dream. She appeared as ordinary as a Tuesday morning, blending in with the crowd like a well-worn pair of jeans. Well, that feels like an old friend, doesn't it? She caught me in the act of staring and shot me a smile that could light up a room. Excuse me, what's going on here? Just mulling it over, I said. What's the scoop? I paused for a moment, caught in a web of indecision. Then gave a casual shrug, as if the world had just asked a silly question. Just as. She strolled over, propped herself against the table, and gave me a look that could probably see into my very soul. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? She teased with a playful grin. I took a good look at her face. The little beauty mark just beside her left eye. The way her lip curved was like a little secret waiting to be shared. Now they seemed like they were reading from a script. I had this brilliant idea that we should shake things up this weekend, but let's be honest, I was just kidding. She practically glowed. Absolutely. How about we indulge in a little spa day, huh? Sounds like a plan, right? How about a quick escape? I stumbled upon this adorable little spot upstate that we could totally take a drive to. I gave a nod, as if I were the wise sage of a small village, ready to impart my profound wisdom, though in reality, I was just trying to keep my head from spinning. That sounds fantastic. She planted a kiss on my lips. Swift and breezy. She took another sip of her wine, as if it held the answers to all of life's mysteries. Back to her beloved pasta. As if I wasn't gradually turning into a human bonfire over here. That night, I found myself flipping open her notebook once more. It's like flipping through a book where every chapter is a tall tale, all dressed up as the author's deep thoughts. I took a gander at the margins. The little pictograms that say more than words ever could. The underlines. A particular note piqued my interest. Guidelines for the roster. Let's get real, shall we? Feeling like a runner-up in a race I didn't even sign up for. Men are like socks, they don't last forever, and sometimes you just have to let them go when they get too worn out. However, good memory sure can be a delightful thing. Well, that was the final straw. I had no intention of letting out a blood-curdling scream. I had no intention of falling apart, not today, not ever. I had every intention of documenting. If Elena had a thing for lists, she'd be over the moon for the one I was about to whip up. By the time the weekend rolled around, I had devoured that pesky journal from start to finish. 2 times, my friend. I committed the most cringe-worthy bits to memory. Let them plop into my stomach like a bunch of unwelcome rocks at a picnic. I took note of her likes and dislikes, like a detective piecing together clues in a mystery novel. Her remarks. Her list of the top 3 contenders. I went ahead and created a spreadsheet, because why not add a little Excel flair to my life? Oh, the irony, right? Looks like the accountant is getting their sweet revenge, huh? Only numbers and figures, my friend. Chilly, isn't it? Goal. Relentless. And throughout the chaos, she maintained her impressive talent for pretending everything was just peachy. Ah, Saturday morning. The sun peeks through the curtains like a nosy neighbor, eager to see what mischief the weekend will bring. She strolled into the living room wearing one of my shirts, looking like she just stepped out of a cozy novel, and I couldn't help but chuckle at the sight. The one with the well-worn Red Sox logo that mysteriously vanished from the laundry basket every time she did the wash. Her hair was a delightful chaos from sleep, and she rubbed her eyes like a little one just waking up from a nap. "Good morning, darling," she managed to say, stifling a yawn that could rival a bear waking from hibernation. "How about a cup of coffee?" "Absolutely," I said with a nod. "Much appreciated." She tiptoed into the kitchen, her bare feet making a soft patter against the cool floor, as if trying to sneak up on breakfast. The kettle hummed a gentle tune, a mug made its debut on the counter with a satisfying click, and a spoon chimed in with a cheerful clink. A harmonious blend of home life, where tranquility reigns supreme. I kept an eye on her. Observed the effortless elegance in the way she moved. She moved to the rhythm only she could hear, swaying as if the universe was a giant marshmallow, soft and sweet. She sauntered over with my coffee, planted a kiss on my temple like it was the most natural thing in the world, and then plopped down across from me, cradling her own cup like it was a prized possession. "We should plan something special," she declared out of the blue, as if she'd just discovered the secret to the universe. "It seems like we've been stuck in a bit of a groove lately, doesn't it?" I almost did a spit take with my drink. "Oh, the dreaded routine? It's like that one friend who shows up uninvited but somehow manages to make themselves at home. You know they're there, but you can't quite figure out how to get rid of them without feeling guilty," I inquired, stifling a chuckle. "Oh," she flashed a grin. "It's like a cozy little nook where everything just feels right and steady. But perhaps we could use a little bit of fun, huh? I was pondering the idea of a little jaunt to Europe this fall. What do you think?" She had that look, you know? The kind that says, "I'm not joking around here." This woman, with her writing as predictable as a Monday lunch, had the audacity to suggest a European tour with me, as if I were her go-to travel companion rather than the guy she had quietly marked down in her private notes. I blinked, savored a leisurely sip of coffee, and swallowed my frustration like a bad pill. "That sounds just delightful," I chimed in. "Where in the world are we talking about?" She launched into a delightful monologue about Italy and Spain, weaving tales of museums and wine like a seasoned storyteller at a dinner party. Her voice danced through the air, bubbling with excitement and a hint of romance. A lady smitten by Cupid's arrow. And let me tell you, it was enough to turn my stomach inside out. That evening, she decided to put on her best outfit for no particular reason at all, just because it felt like a good idea. Who needs a reason to look fabulous, right? She slipped into a snug black dress with an open back, the very same one that had been gathering dust since our anniversary 2 years back. Ah, that night. How could I forget it? I snagged a rooftop dinner reservation, showed up with roses in hand, and presented her with that silver bracelet she always raved about. So, it turns out that during that very week, she decided to have a little fling with a bartender from her yoga studio. Who knew downward dog could lead to such upward adventures? James, with his inked arms and fingers that seemed to dance, found himself in desperate need of a detox juice the following day. Believe it or not, I still have the receipt for that bracelet tucked away somewhere. Do you think I cleaned up nicely tonight? She twirled in front of the mirror, a question hanging in the air like a stubborn cloud on a sunny day. I lifted my gaze from the pages of my book, momentarily pulled away from the world of fiction. "You always look good," I remarked with a casual air. She flashed a grin, strolled over, and plopped down in my lap, wrapping her arms around my neck, her lipstick nearly kissing my cheek. "You've been quite the charmer lately," she whispered with a playful grin. "This version of you? Absolutely delightful. I'm all in for it." "Oh, that version, huh? Are you talking about the version that actually remembers your name? The one who's all hush-hush while secretly plotting to turn your castle into a bonfire?" That night, as we settled into bed, she snuggled up against me like a cozy burrito. "You're warm," she mumbled, as if she were a human thermometer trying to make sense of the universe. I let my hand glide down her back, like a gentle breeze on a warm day. My voice slipped out with a chill. I didn't intend to send it shivering through the air. Could I be? Or perhaps just a bit too cozy? She raised her chin, as if trying to catch a glimpse of the sky, or perhaps just to see if anyone was watching her latest dramatic moment. What in the world does that even mean? Absolutely nothing at all. I planted a gentle kiss on her forehead, like a soft punctuation mark on a sentence that needed a little extra love. "Time to hit the hay, my friend. The pillow is calling your name, and trust me, it's got a cozy vibe going on that you won't want to miss." She gave me one last look, as if trying to decipher the mysteries of the universe, but then decided that a nap was far more appealing and rested her head once more. The following days turned into a real show and tell, where every moment felt like a scene straight out of a novel. She whipped up dinner. She chuckled at my attempts at humor. She even threw out the idea of giving couples yoga another whirl. Ah, yoga. That delightful dance between bending like a pretzel and finding inner peace, all while trying not to faceplant on your mat. Who knew stretching could be such a balancing act? It was like a twist in a novel that made you chuckle and shake your head at the same time. I agreed to it all, like a character in a novel who just can't say no. Gave a grin, nodded like I understood everything, and went with the flow. Well, it turns out I was no longer part of that relationship saga. I was diving into it like a detective on a case, trying to uncover all its secrets. Observing her closely. Each and every word. Each glance. Every tiny hint. Oh, it was just another day in the grand performance of life. And I had finally had enough of playing the village idiot. I got everything ready. I took another look at her journal. Gave my finances a good spring cleaning. I had a chat with a lawyer. Hush now. With great efficiency. No drama. Because when the moment arrived, I was definitely not in the mood for a shouting match. I craved a little peace and quiet. And the delightful symphony of her world crumbling like a poorly constructed sandcastle. Ah, Thursday, the day that sits comfortably between the chaos of Wednesday and the sweet promise of Friday. A day that often feels like the universe is just teasing us with the idea of the weekend ahead. Elena had just wrapped up a Zoom call and strolled into the kitchen, barefoot and humming a little tune to herself, as if she were the star of her own quirky sitcom. I kept an eye on her from the dining room, like a curious cat watching a mouse, but with less stealth and more mashed potatoes. She appeared as serene as a cat lounging in a sunbeam. Bright as a button, I suppose. Like a woman happily settled in her perfectly arranged little world. She swung open the fridge door like it was a portal to another dimension, ready to uncover the mysteries of the leftovers lurking inside. How about we indulge in a little steak action tonight? She tossed a casual remark over her shoulder. Or maybe pasta. How about I whip up that lemon dish you love? Sounds like a zesty adventure waiting to happen. I rose to my feet, as if summoned by an invisible force, ready to embrace whatever absurdity awaited me next. No dinner, I declared with the finality of a judge banging a gavel. She looked utterly baffled. Excuse me, what's going on here? Why, you ask? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's like standing in front of a vending machine, staring at the options, and wondering why you can't just get a chocolate bar without the existential crisis. So, why? Let's dive into that delightful mystery together. I had this wild idea that we might venture out for a bit. Her eyes sparkled like two little stars that just found out they were invited to a party. A grin spreads across the face. Oh, look at that. How posh. What's the big event? There was no special reason, I fibbed. I thought it might be nice to spoil my wife a little. She turned into a puddle of emotions, like ice cream on a hot summer day. Wow, someone's been channeling their inner poet, huh? This energy is absolutely delightful. Absolutely. I can just imagine you nodding along with that one. I snagged a table at this cozy little spot by the water, where the only thing louder than the waves is my appetite. It's definitely one of her top picks. Those crisp white linen tablecloths. Ah, candles. Those little flickering flames that somehow manage to make any room feel like a cozy haven or a romantic getaway, depending on how many you light and whether you remember to keep an eye on them. They're like the unsung heroes of ambience, quietly working their magic while we go about our business, probably forgetting they're there until we trip over a stray wax puddle. Classic. The masterpieces. She donned a shade of green that could make a leprechaun jealous. That dress that turned heads and sparked double takes from unsuspecting passers-by. I donned a suit, feeling like a character straight out of a novel, ready to conquer the world, or at least the office coffee machine. It's a tie. I even showed up with flowers in hand. It was as if a party had just crashed into reality, confetti and all. It certainly was. Well, that certainly wasn't what she had in mind. We plopped ourselves down. I went ahead and ordered some wine. She had a lot to say. I tuned in. Her voice floated through the air like a balloon full of hot air, delivering updates that were as substantial as a cloud on a sunny day. Companions. Ah, trends. Those ever-shifting sense of what's cool and what's not, like trying to catch a greased pig at a county fair. 1 minute, everyone's raving about the latest must-have gadget, and the next, it's as outdated as last year's fashion. It's a wild ride, really, and you've got to hold on tight or risk being left in the dust, wondering what on earth just happened. The intern who seems to be having a heated argument with the keyboard every time she types. Then I dove into my coat like a magician pulling a rabbit from a hat. She glanced at the folder, then shot me a look that said, "Well, this should be interesting. What in the world is this?" she inquired with a playful touch. It was as if she had a hunch but preferred to keep her head in the sand, blissfully unaware. I nudged it her way, like a cat offering a particularly prized toy, hoping she'd appreciate the gesture. "Feel free to proceed. Go ahead, give it a whirl." With a moment's pause, she finally decided to give it a go and unlatched it. Inside, there was a neatly printed copy of her journal, as if it had been made by a particularly diligent fairy with a penchant for organization. Each and every entry, each and every name, each and every rating. All sorted out. Tagged and ready to roll. All sorted and ready to go. Her face went as pale as a ghost at a family reunion. No need to fret. She gazed at the pages, her lips parting as if they were trying to escape the gravity of her thoughts. With a decisive flick, she closed the folder as if it held the secrets of the universe, or at least the last slice of pizza. "Excuse me, but who gave you the green light to rummage through my personal belongings?" I gave my head a little tilt, like a curious puppy trying to understand a particularly baffling riddle. "Are you talking about that mysterious leather notebook that somehow ended up in the communal closet?" She remained as silent as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I leaned in, keeping my voice steady and relaxed. "Chilly, isn't it?" Calm and collected. I hung on to every single word, Elena. Each and every entry. Each tiny twinkle in the sky. All the emojis under the sun. "I particularly enjoyed the moment you likened me to a Monday lunch." She gulped. Gave my eyelids a workout. "Ethan, you really took a leap there, didn't you? Sleeping with the guy who was meant to help us patch things up? That's a plot twist I didn't see coming." Her mouth opened wide, like a fish out of water, but all that escaped was silence. So there I was, pouring my heart out in sessions, trying to patch things up between us, and you were, doing what exactly? "Are you putting his endurance to the test for your little diary adventure?" "Please," she whispered, her voice tinged with a hint of panic, as if the world was suddenly spinning a little too fast for her liking. "Is this really the best spot for this little chat?" "No," I said, maintaining a steady tone as if I were discussing the weather. "We're going to make it happen right in this very spot. Out in the open. In a spot that makes your heart do a little happy dance. While sipping on the wine you so thoughtfully chose. I want you to hold on to the memory of how this night wrapped around us like a cozy blanket." She extended her hand. "Perhaps it's time to snag that folder. Perhaps my hand, you know, the one that seems to have a mind of its own at times." I took a step back. "You didn't merely bend the rules, Elena. You wrote it all down. As if I were just a tiny footnote in your grand little museum of life. A little tale of exploration. A little safety net, just in case things go sideways." Her eyes had taken on a shiny, almost otherworldly look, as if she had just stepped out of a particularly intense novel. She cast her gaze about the restaurant, taking in the sights like a detective on a culinary case. The candles, those flickering little flames of ambience, were just sitting there, waiting for their moment to shine, literally. They had dreams of creating a cozy atmosphere, but instead, they were stuck in a drawer, collecting dust and probably gossiping about the other home decor items. "Did you see the way the throw pillows were arranged? So last season. The pairs of lovebirds. The gentle hum of existence rolled on, as if the world had collectively agreed to ignore any hint of trouble. Well, Ethan, let's just say I've had my fair share of blunders." "Oh no, my friend, you took the wheel on that one." I rose to my feet. I gave my jacket a little tug, making sure it looked just right, because you never know when a spontaneous adventure might call for a dash of style. He flung a couple of crumpled bills onto the table like a magician revealing his final trick. "Oh, trust me, you're not the sole keeper of the archives here." In a flurry of motion, she snatched the folder as if it held the secrets of the universe, or at least her next meal plan. "Hey, can we keep this between us? Just a little secret, okay?" I bent down, my voice barely rising above a whisper. "Why not, right? So, this is what we call art, huh? Unfiltered. Truthful. A colorful tale of your unique adventure through life." She jumped a little. With a casual flick of my heel, I pivoted and strolled off, leaving behind whatever it was that needed leaving behind. No shouting. No scene to be found. No grand send-off. Only the sound of soft footsteps, like a cat tiptoeing through a library full of sleeping books. And there she was, a woman grappling with the heavy realization that her journal had transformed into a piece of evidence, like a secret recipe gone rogue. I decided to skip the whole going home thing that night. I strolled along the waterfront, my legs protesting like a couple of old men after a long day of fishing. The chilly wind slipped through my shirt, as if it was in on a secret about something that had gone awry. After a bit of wandering, I finally found myself checking into a hotel that was as quiet as a library on a Sunday afternoon. A classic chain joint, complete with its soothing beige walls and the promise of a complimentary breakfast that might just be the highlight of your stay. Spotless. Nothing to see here. Unidentified. I yanked off my tie like it was a noose, plopped down on the bed's edge, and gave the wall a good, long stare, as if it might suddenly reveal the secrets of the universe, or at least what's for dinner. My phone decided to throw a little light show. "Elena, could you please make your way back home? We miss you around here. Let's have a chat." I never intended for any of this to cause you pain. It was simply a little chapter in the grand story of life. You really crossed a line there, Ethan, didn't you? That journal was like a secret vault of my thoughts. I might have stumbled a bit, but come on, you really took it to the next level, didn't you? There it was, just sitting there like it owned the place. The twist of fate. From feeling guilty to putting up a good defense. From saying sorry to pointing fingers. I chose to keep my lips zipped. The following morning, I decided it was time to ring up lawyer. Silence hung in the air like an awkward pause at a dinner party, where everyone's too polite to mention the elephant in the room, or in this case, the lack of noise. Professional and straightforward. The guy on the other end of the line casually inquired if there was any cheating going on. I chuckled. "Oh, absolutely," I declared. "And wouldn't you know it, there's a rating system to back that up." He took a moment to gather his thoughts. "Hey. What's the deal with this rating system, huh?" "It's a bit of a saga," I said. I made my way back home 2 days later, timing it just right so I could sneak in while she was off at work. I threw everything into my suitcase like a game of Tetris, hoping it all fit without any dramatic explosions. Only the bare necessities. She left behind every little thing she ever handed me. Timepieces, presents, and that pesky bracelet from our anniversary. Everything stacked up nicely on the kitchen table, just waiting for someone to take notice, like a little mountain of domestic triumph. Next to it, I placed a sealed envelope, like a secret agent leaving behind a mysterious package, minus the dramatic music, of course. Within those 4 walls, there lay a lone sheet of paper, as if it were the last survivor of a forgotten battle against the clutter of life. It said, "It wasn't the infidelity that did us in." Oh, you really thought I'd miss that, didn't you? Oh, that I wouldn't give a hoot. That I wouldn't make a difference. I put my full name on it, as if I were handing in my resignation from life itself. Well, you could say it was, in its own quirky little way. In the weeks that followed, she threw herself into every possible option like a kid in a candy store, trying to see what would stick. Messages, emails, and voicemails that kicked off with a waterfall of tears and wrapped up with a side of finger-pointing. "You took off because you couldn't handle it, huh? It seems like my words were just floating by you, like leaves in the wind, huh? You weren't exactly the thrill-seeking type, were you?" I felt like I was trapped in a vacuum cleaner, gasping for air and wondering if I'd accidentally signed up for a reality show called Extreme Breathing Challenges. And then, you were the only one who ever managed to keep it all together. This isn't what you signed up for, is it? Well, I've come to that realization now. Sure thing. I really dropped the ball on this one. 6 months later, the final message arrived, as if it had taken a leisurely stroll through time before deciding to show up. A handwritten letter, making its grand entrance at my new apartment. It had that unmistakable whiff of her perfume, like a gentle reminder that she was just here, leaving a trace of her essence behind. "You were the nicest guy I ever met, no contest. Seriously, if kindness were a competition, you'd have taken home the gold medal, no doubt about it. The coziest nook I ever stumbled upon." And just like that, I turned it into a pile of rubble. I set out in search of thrills, but all I stumbled upon was a big ol' void. If I had a time machine, I'd hit the rewind button and pick you all over again, no question about it. Without fail. I gave it a read, then neatly tucked it away like a secret I wasn't quite ready to share. And tucked it away in the back of a drawer I rarely dare to open. I've got a new someone in my life these days. So, let me introduce you to Logan. Her laughter lights up her entire face, like a sunbeam breaking through the clouds. She doesn't jot down her romantic escapades or give people star ratings like their dining experiences. When she touches me, it's like she's right here, no questions asked. Not mentally sizing me up against some specter from her history. Guess what? I'm no longer the sad sandwich left in the office fridge on a Monday. I'm precisely the person you see before you. And at last, with someone who isn't tallying up the points. As for Elena, let's just say her list turned out to be about as useful as a chocolate teapot after that. News traveled faster than a cat on a hot tin roof. It's not that I spilled the beans on her, it's just that secrets have a funny way of going bad from the inside out. Folks have a knack for spotting the little details. One day, an old coworker stumbled upon her notebook in her car, and from that moment on, it was like she had sprouted a second head in their eyes. One day, our neighbor Lenny decided that waving was just too mainstream for him. He went cold turkey on the friendly gestures, and now it's like I'm living next to a statue, one that doesn't even nod back. She lingered in the house for a bit, as if it were a cozy cafe where time forgot to check its watch. All by my lonesome. Silence reigned supreme. The very same walls. The very same kitchen. But the warmth had packed its bags and left the building. The life she had carefully pieced together. Candles flickering, brunches bubbling, and Instagram smiles plastered on like a fresh coat of paint. Everything began to feel a bit empty. Even to her, of all people. She decided to dip her toes back into the dating pool. Fresh titles. Fresh experiments on the horizon. But they decided to take a hike instead. Eventually, even the most thrilling dish loses its charm when the chef can't stop reminiscing about the last one. Ah, the journal? You mean that little treasure trove of thoughts and musings? It's like a secret garden where my ideas bloom, sometimes wildly and other times just a bit awkwardly. A delightful mess, really. I heard she went and set it ablaze. Or maybe that's the story she spun for everyone else. As if it were a scene straight out of a novel, dripping with significance. Purifying flames and finding oneself. But you know, that sort of tale only really takes off if you hit the pause button on scribbling new chapters.